I blocked the sulfuric acid that my boyfriend's brother threw at him, and as a result, my entire face was disfigured. My boyfriend accepted 800,000 and immediately forgave his brother. He said, "My brother just acted impulsively. Since I've already married you, you should just let it go." When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the moment just before the sulfuric acid was thrown. This time, I quickly distanced myself from the battlefield. 1. I woke up in the hospital. After the initial reconstructive surgery, when the bandages were removed, the pockmarked face staring back at me in the mirror made me scream in horror. Shinsi rushed into the hospital room upon hearing my screams and kept asking what was wrong. The moment I turned around, the things in his hands fell to the ground in shock. His instinctive reaction broke my heart even more. "Call the police. I'm going to sue him. I will definitely sue him." The tone of resentment tugged at the newly healed flesh on her face, causing pain. Upon hearing this, Shinsi turned pale and quickly came over. "Nyan Nyan, don't call the police. After all, he is my brother, and you know that my mother and I have wronged him." I can't believe my eyes as I look at the person in front of me. So I'm just ruined like this. What am I supposed to do from now on? I have to sue him. Shinsi's eyes dart around, then he suddenly says with determination, "Nyan Nyan. I'll marry you. Don't sue him. I'll marry you. I don't want him to marry me. I just want justice." It was my first time going to Shinsi's house to meet his parents. The food had just been served when suddenly there was a knock at the door. Shinsi's mother opened the door, and a man suddenly rushed in. The man was filled with resentment, holding a thermos cup in his hand, and headed straight for the dining table. As soon as Shinsi saw him, he immediately stood up and said with a smile, "Brother. You're here. Don't call me brother. I don't have a brother like you. How dare the old man give you money? You son of a mistress. Go to hell." As he spoke, he opened the cup in his hand and quickly splashed its contents. At the critical moment, I stepped in front of him. The corrosive liquid splashed onto my face and neck. The sizzling sound of sulfuric acid corroding skin echoed in my ears as I was rushed to the hospital, screaming in agony. And now, he's telling me not to pursue this matter. I can't just let this go. I will definitely sue him to death. I pushed him away, unwilling to give up, and wanted to go to the police station immediately to file a case. Shinsi grabbed me firmly, his gaze avoiding my eyes, but his tone was unusually calm. "A case was already filed at the police station long ago. Your parents took the money and signed the settlement agreement long ago. Nyan Nyan, it's useless." It felt like a blow to the head. A huge sense of betrayal ignited my anger. I turned around, only to meet his lowered gaze. "Besides, from the time you were hospitalized until now, all the repair costs have been covered by him. Nyan Nyan, we can't afford to sue him." I felt as if I had fallen into an ice cellar. My face seemed unbearable for him to look at. He turned his head away, his arm gripping me tightly, yet his tone was filled with heartache. "We're both adults now. Don't be foolish just for the sake of pride. Nyan Nyan, forgive my brother. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I'll marry you." I look at the person in front of me, tears flowing for a long time on the pitted face but unable to fall. What is this? He married me, became my blessing. But now you don't even dare to look at me. He turned around and suddenly held me in his arms. "Nyan Nyan, I've let you down my whole life. Please give me a chance to take care of you." In the end, I still married Shinsi, because after our argument, my mom rushed straight to the hospital. When she saw me turn around, she froze for 2 seconds, then she pointed at my face and started yelling, "You're lucky to have found someone like Xiao Shen. Have you even looked at yourself in the mirror lately? We've already used the money to buy your brother an apartment, and there's no way we're giving it back. Just marry him quietly and don't even think about suing them." I only found out later that she had accepted 200,000 yuan in compensation and an additional 100,000 yuan as a betrothal gift from the Shen family. On the day we went to get our marriage license, after the photographer took our ID photos, he started to say a perfect match but trailed off mid-sentence. The photographer awkwardly lowered his head and fiddled with his camera, but Shinsi held my hand and still managed to give me a smile. "Nyan Nyan, you look more beautiful today than ever before." I forced a smile at him, and he stiffened in response. "Forget it. At least he still loves me, too. After we got married, Shin Si suddenly received a spot in a singing competition. Both he and I are graduates of a performing arts school. In that circle, there are too many good-looking people. And the money we earn is barely enough to make ends meet. Logically speaking, such an opportunity shouldn't have fallen to us. Shin Si said it was just luck. He soon went to attend the simple training organized by the program team. While I stayed at home to rest, Shin Si's mother really doesn't like me. Maybe it's because of this face, or maybe it's because of something else. Xiao Nian, with your current situation, you really shouldn't have married into our family, but our Xiao Shen values loyalty and affection, and he has to support the whole family by himself. You need to be more virtuous and capable. Look at this floor. You weren't careful just now, were you? Go mop it again. I quickly nodded. All the money at home is controlled by Shin Si's mother, including my compensation. I'm afraid that if I don't go along with her wishes, my reconstructive surgery will be halted. Fortunately, though, my mother-in-law is just a bit harsh with her words. My reconstructive surgery has never been stopped, and Shin Si's show became a huge hit. He gained some popularity, and the company immediately pushed him into a production team. Shin Si suddenly entered the entertainment industry, and the web series he starred in happened to become a hit. His career was on the rise, but the rumors about him were also spreading more and more. My face has recovered by 60%, but it still left behind scars that look like crawling insects. What's worse, my face can no longer show clear emotions. For an artist, this means my acting career is over for life. In the second year of our marriage, he became more and more popular, but also spent less and less time at home. My mother-in-law's expression grew increasingly unpleasant, until one time, I made soup and brought it to the set to see him. I wore a hat and a mask, and in that once familiar work environment, I didn't want anyone to recognize me, but when I got to the studio, I was still stopped. "Hey, who are you?" The security guard stopped me and asked. I didn't like the probing expression on his face, so I dodged and said, "I'm Shin Si's family, here to see him." But the other person looked skeptical. "Family? What family? You're not a stalker, are you?" "I'm not, I really am his family." "Wait a moment. I'll have him talk to you." On my phone, I sent 2 or 3 messages, but there was no response. The security guard looked at me with increasing suspicion. I say, "You young girls. Instead of doing something proper at such a young age, you chase after celebrities all day. Can that put food on the table? You're obsessed with star chasing. Get out of here." I stared at the page with no reply, glanced at the studio again, thinking he might be busy, and crouched down by the exit to wait. 3. The autumn wind was a bit chilly. My legs had gone numb from crouching when people finally started wrapping up inside. Staff members came out of the door one after another. I huddled in the corner, unnoticed by anyone, as people came and went in waves, and I saw the security guards getting anxious to go for their meals. I slipped in when no one was paying attention. Logically speaking, the artist should have left first. So why was Shin Si still here after so long? I kept my head down, lowering my hat every time I passed someone, and searched through the dressing rooms one by one. Just as I was about to open the door to one of the lounges, I heard sounds from inside that made my face flush and my heart race. I thought it was some wild lovers, and I was about to leave when I heard the people inside mention my name. "Brother Shin, tell me, who is more beautiful, me or Sunyan?" A familiar voice. "Of course it's you. How can that ugly creature compare to you now? I can't even be bothered to touch her. You're so much better. So you rejected me for her back then." I pressed close to the door, my heavy breathing mingling with the response. That was different. She had such a promising future back then. I had to think about our future together. I brought her home right after she passed Director Lee's audition. Who would have thought something like this would happen? But if she hadn't had that accident, how would Director Lee's role of Shi Qian have fallen to you? You should be secretly delighted. I stood outside the door, feeling the blood in my body turn cold inch by inch. The life that had been unexpectedly ruined, the pain and grievances on the operating table, had not faded away. Instead, they flourished vigorously at this moment. I pushed the door open and pressed the shutter under their terrified gazes. Didn't they want to go viral? I'll make them go viral. Sunyan. Stop right now, let me explain. Shen Si chased after me stark naked, while I grabbed my phone and ran, splashing the scalding soup all over both of them. Amidst the screams, I fled outside. My blood was boiling with rage. I was determined to send both of them straight to hell. Unable to go home and having been out of the circle for too long, I quickly contacted my best friend. I told her I wanted to expose Shen Si and asked her to recommend a few people for me. Upon hearing this, Meng Yuan immediately arranged a place for us to meet. On my way there, a large truck came speeding recklessly and headed straight for me as I was waiting at a red light. In the last second, I closed my eyes. After a loud crash, I found myself standing on the side of the road. I died. Only after I died did I learn that the truck driver had been bribed by someone sent by Shen Si, and Meng Yuan had informed on me, later receiving a 1 million hush money payoff. After my death, a grand funeral was held. Shen Si cried his heart out at the ceremony, successfully gaining a wave of popularity and even being praised by netizens as a devoted and loving husband. Netizens even dug up photos of me going to the hospital for checkups after my disfigurement. They expressed disgust at my appearance, saying I must have saved the galaxy in my past life to have married Shen Si in this one and to have such a wonderful mother-in-law. They climbed higher by stepping on my blood and bones. I have been following them all along, wishing I could skin them alive and drink their blood, until Shen Si and Wen Qing's grand wedding, in the bridal chamber. Shen Si finally revealed that back then, his brother had given him 800,000, he used 500,000 to buy his competition spot, and spent another 100,000 on my recovery. Just looking at her face makes me sick. Thank goodness it wasn't me who got disfigured. Sun Yan brought all this upon herself. Filled with rage, I swore that if I could start over, I would make sure he tastes the same bitterness. When I opened my eyes again, I suddenly found myself back at the dining table. For Xiaoyan is so beautiful. Here, have some fish. As soon as I opened my eyes, Shen Si's mother was sitting across from me, putting food into my bowl. A tender piece of fish belly was placed in my bowl. This was definitely not the kind of treatment I would receive after getting married. I looked around, and Shen Si sitting nearby was full of smiles. What's wrong? Why are you spacing out? I suppressed the hatred in my heart and came up with a bold idea. I've been reborn. I was reborn on the day I went to meet Shen Si's mother. The doorbell suddenly rang at the door. Maybe it's a delivery. I'll go check. Shen Si's mother put down her chopsticks and immediately got up to answer the door. What's wrong with you? Nyan Nyan. I looked at the hypocritical smile on this person's face, shook my head, and subtly shifted my body to the side. Peel a shrimp for me. After I said that, he happily took the plate, and I immediately noticed the gift box beside the dining table. The size is just right, suitable for self-defense. A quarrel erupted at the door, exactly the same as in my previous life. Shen Si's older brother walked in, while Shen Si sat in a chair, holding a half-peeled shrimp in his hand, and asked with a smile, "Brother, what brings you here?" Then, amid the angry shouts, a corrosive liquid was thrown straight at him. Quick on my feet, I swiftly stepped back and grabbed a gift box to shield my side. Apart from a slight burning sensation on my thigh, probably from a few splashes, I felt nothing else. My face, Shen Si screamed in agony, the shrimp in his hand falling onto the table. The napkin on the table instantly turned yellow and black upon contact with the sulfuric acid. His mother rushed over immediately, while Shen Jing stood frozen in place, back when he had splashed the wrong person. He had been similarly terrified and rooted to the spot. I quickly called the police, anxiously hovering around Shen Si, exclaiming, "What should we do? What on earth should we do?" Shen Si covered his face and screamed, while his mother was running around in a frantic rush. "Quick, take off your clothes. Get those clothes off. Auntie, hurry and get something to wipe him down. Then rush him to the hospital." I said that Shen Si's mother, suddenly found my backbone and immediately sprang into action. "I can't take it off. I'm an artist. Son, nothing is more important than your life." Shen Si's mother cried out, forcibly cutting off his shirt and pants with scissors. However, The primary self-rescue measure after being splashed with sulfuric acid should be rinsing with clean water. When sulfuric acid comes into contact with water, it generates heat. And the water carries away the heat, preventing a strong burning sensation. It was only after I went to the hospital in my previous life that I was told this. In my previous life, in my pain, I knocked over the drink on the table, and the burn on my arm was relieved. Only then did I go to rinse it off. In this life, I very kindly took away the drinks he might knock over, made sure not to touch him, and anxiously tried to help but only made things worse, my pain. He must repay it 1,000-fold for it to be fair. 5. Returning to the familiar hospital again, the smell of disinfectant actually made me feel at ease. In the chaos, I took Shinsiai's phone and went into the bathroom. His phone was set with a 4-digit password. I first tried my birthday, but it was wrong. Then I tried his birthday, and it was still wrong. Just as I was at a loss, a message suddenly lit up on the screen. Wenqing, are you taking her to see Auntie today? Does Auntie like her or does she like me more? I almost forgot about her. Shinsiai and I were in the same year at the film academy, and Wenqing was our junior, 2 years below us. She has a sweet appearance, has known Shinsiai since childhood, and calls herself Shinsiai's sister. I never thought much of it. It wasn't until my previous life that I found out those two had been in contact all along, especially when, after my accident, the role in director Lee's audition for Southern Country became unavailable for me to play. Although it was only a minor female role, the character was very likable. Shinsiai took the script with my annotations and notes and gave it to Wenqing, then spent money to pull some strings and recommended Wenqing to the director. After the movie succeeded, the role gained a lot of fans, and Wenqing officially entered the film and television industry. This time, they should also be locked together for good. I entered Wenqing's birthday on my phone, and the lock screen immediately unlocked. Opening the chat history, I finally noticed that Shinsiai had saved my contact name as Beautiful and Innocent Fiancé. Scrolling down a bit, I discovered he was also keeping other women on the line. For example, Wenqing was saved as Sweet and Spicy Childhood Friend. Besides her, there were also Cold and Aloof Long-Haired Goddess, Fiery and Exciting Colleague, Silly and Rich Brainless Fan, and so on. Even his mom's contact name is Easily Irritated Old Mother. I couldn't help but laugh at the sight. I had initially planned to just look through his chat history with Wenqing, but now there was plenty to dig into. As I scrolled up the screen, it became increasingly clear that his flirtatious exchanges with Wenqing had never stopped. Their relationship seemed to be somewhere between friendship and romance, never quite crossing the line. It would have been fine if he didn't have a girlfriend, but after we started dating, he would shower me with affection while simultaneously picking out lingerie styles for another girl. It was truly disgusting. There's too much evidence, so I might as well keep this phone. After all, everyone was in such a panic that no one noticed. When I went out again, the police had already arrived at the entrance of the operating room and were questioning Shin's mother. Officer, you must stand up for my boyfriend. He's an actor, and this incident could ruin his career. Please don't let him get away with it. I was crying and sobbing, even more emotional than his mother. The police quickly helped me up and comforted me. Shin's mother's expression was not very pleasant. If she were to bring her ex-husband's son into the family, how would she explain it to Shinsiai's father? 6. I only found out about these things after I got married. Shinsiai's father is a small entrepreneur, but he already has a wife. Shin's mother was Shinsiai's father's first love when he was young. 23 years ago, they had a moment of passion, and unexpectedly, Shin's mother quietly gave birth to the child and returned 20 years later. Back when Shin's father was young, most of his business relied on his wife's family. Now that he sees he has control and his younger son has grown up decently, it's inevitable that they would reconnect. So when Shinjing, the son from the first marriage, accidentally saw Shinsiai playing a minor role on TV, he became resentful and wanted to ruin his face. In my previous life, I was ruined. To avoid suing her first love's son, she was even willing to hold her nose and let me into the family. Now, with her own biological son, it seems it's much the same. Officer, I am Shinsiai's mother. Xiaosu hasn't even entered the family yet, so let's discuss this matter between us. Mom, what do you mean by that? Just because you were the other woman? Does that mean the legitimate son can bully Shensi as he pleases? No wonder Shensi told me you've always been fawning over Shenjing. Have you no conscience? Your own son is still lying in there. After I finished shouting, the amount of information was too much, and the people around us kept staring. Shen's mother panicked instantly. What nonsense are you talking? Shut up. What does our family matter have to do with you? What do you mean? What does it have to do with you? Shensi told me everything. You're his biological mother, yet you always side with Shenjing whenever he causes trouble. You've long wanted to drive his first wife to her death so you can become Shenjing's stepmother. Shut up, shut up. Shen's mother screamed and rushed to tear at me, but was stopped by someone. Calm down. Let's hear both of your accounts separately. After the police left, Shensi was brought out wrapped up tightly, with layers of bandages, looking just like a mummy. As soon as she entered the hospital room, Shen's mother immediately pulled a long face. Xiao Nian, what did you mean by what you said outside? I leaned against the wall nonchalantly. Nothing much, it's just that Shensi told me, if you want to reconcile, you should think carefully about how to explain it to Shensi. Shen's mother looked full of suspicion. My son would never say such a thing. Believe it or not, if you don't believe me, you can ask him yourself when you wake up. She had no way to ask. After all, the main reason Shensi was disfigured was because of her, and once the seed of doubt is planted, it grows faster and faster in misfortune. In my previous life, I enjoyed a peaceful old age with a harmonious mother-son relationship. What about this life? Just wait and see. None of them will have it easy. 7. I was quickly driven away, but it doesn't matter. They will ask me to come back. Emotional blackmail. For sure they'll come to me to clean up the mess, but that's not important. What matters most now is the role in director Li's film. I had just gotten into the taxi when Shensi's phone suddenly lit up. Wenqing, why aren't you replying? Brother, didn't you say you'd persuade her to give up director Li's role for me, if that doesn't work? Just slip her some medicine so she can't make it to the makeup test day. Wenqing is currently filming out of town, and Shensi is a celebrity. His mother won't let the situation escalate, so she doesn't know about this. I raised an eyebrow and thought of a way to get revenge. Shensi, Sunyan's side won't work. But I heard the assistant director has a small role available. He happens to be in Liaoqing near you these 2 days. Use your connections, maybe send a gift or something. Wenqing. Great, thank you, brother. This assistant director comes from a wealthy family and despises the hidden rules of the entertainment industry. Actors blacklisted by him rarely get any roles in the circle. Besides, I never said what gift to give. I just hope Wenqing doesn't offer herself. Or else don't blame me for stepping on a landmine. Since I was already kicked out, I simply blocked the Shen family. When I got home, I put away my phone. This is a move that could be fatal with one strike. I soon joined the crew. With my previous understanding of the role and references from 2 lifetimes, I did very well. On the day of the wrap, even as a minor female character, I still received flowers. Look at the time. The initial repair should be done by now. It's time to go see him. I deliberately put on makeup, and since I'm not famous yet, I just walked in holding a bouquet of flowers the crew had received. When I entered, Shensi was screaming at the mirror. My face, it's ruined, son. It's okay, it will get better. I opened the door and went in, and both of them turned to look at me. The moment I saw Shensi, the flowers in my hand fell to the ground. I did it on purpose. I clearly saw the hurt and pain in his eyes, then somewhat sheepishly picked up the flowers and said, as if trying to smooth things over, "As long as you're okay, you finally decided to show up. Where were you earlier?" As soon as Mother Shen spoke, I rolled my eyes without a care. "Son, look at her like this. Just look, I have to work. Besides, when Auntie kicked me out, didn't she tell me never to come back in this lifetime?" Shensi saw that bouquet of flowers, with a standing plaque on it that read, "Congratulations on wrapping up. Did you go act in Southern Country?" "Yes. After your mom kicked me out, she said we broke up. Love is gone. But I still need a career. After such a huge incident happened to me, how could you still go to work with a clear conscience? Do you even care about me at all?" I looked at the man in front of me with his distorted expression and pockmarked face, and couldn't help but laugh. In my previous life, after my accident, he got our marriage certificate and immediately joined the film crew. The time we spent together could be counted on 2 hands. How does he have the face to ask me, "What about you?" after I joined the crew, when Ching called you? Right, she somehow got blacklisted in the industry and called to curse at me, saying it's my fault for not listening to you and giving up the role. You two have been in contact all along. He quickly shook his head. No, how could that be? She's just talking nonsense. I was just joking with her. But you can't ignore me just because you're angry. Why should I care about you? Even your mother thinks I'm meddling too much. What do you mean? I ignored him and turned to look at Mrs. Shun, who was standing behind me with a gloomy expression. Auntie, how much money did Shenjing pay you to sign the settlement agreement so easily? Shen Ci is your own son. Aren't you going to seek justice for him? 8. Mom, Nyan Nyan, what does this mean? What settlement agreement? You signed it. No, listen to me. Mom had no choice, Shen's mother hurried to explain, while I chimed in, not minding stirring up trouble. Exactly. After all, Mrs. Shen is critically ill now. Once she's gone, you'll be rushing to become someone's stepmother. How can you blame your future son for that? Right, Auntie, shut up. Mom, you need to explain this clearly, you said. The two began to argue. Shen Ci's pockmarked face looked even more ferocious in his anger, frightening Mother Shen into stepping back repeatedly. When the time came, I leisurely went downstairs to have a meal. By the time I returned, the two were sitting in silence, as if they had united and formed a common front. Shen's mother, however, looked at me with eyes full of resentment. Xiao Nian, Auntie was wrong. I apologize to you. But given Shen's current condition, a good girl like you wouldn't abandon him in his time of need, would you? Moral coercion always arrives sooner or later. You should know that you're somewhat of a public figure. If you dare abandon Xiao Shen at a time like this, no need, Shen Ci, let's get married, just as you used my very bones and blood to climb step by step in your previous life. It's my turn this time. Shen Ci froze for a moment, his eyes filled with shock. He never expected that I would still be willing to marry him, and he was probably genuinely moved. Nyan Nyan, Nyan Nyan, you're so kind. He came over to hug me, and I took a step back. He stood there looking hurt again. But with that face combined with the wounded expression, it was somewhat hard to describe. Let's get this straight. I can marry you, but only on the condition that I manage all the money in the household. Mother Shen was the first to lose her composure. Why should you, Auntie, since you could easily forgive and accept money even when Shen Ci was ruined, just because the other party was Shenjing? What if something happens to someone else in the future? If the money is with you, won't you just return it all? Besides, since I married Shen Ci, that money will definitely be used for his recovery. If it's all with you, would you be willing to part with it? Hearing my words, Shen Ci's thoughtful gaze also turned toward his mother. Once there's a crack between people, the relationship can easily break. Seeing the look in her son's eyes, Shen's mother felt somewhat afraid. What nonsense are you talking about? Forget it if you don't agree. I won't force you. After saying that, I stood up to leave, but Shen Ci grabbed my arm. He turned to look at his mother, his gaze dark and menacing. Mom, you're willing, aren't you? If not for Nyan Nyan, your son will never find anyone else in the future. Shen's mother ultimately agreed. 9. On the day of taking the wedding photos, in front of the camera, after repeated urging from the photographer, Shen Ci took off his mask. That face silenced everyone present. He seemed somewhat embarrassed, his proud self-esteem ground into the dust. Tightly clutching my hand, I smiled at him just as I did in his past life and said, Shen Ci, you look more beautiful today than ever before, in the eyes of others. I am an incredibly tolerant and kind wife, unwavering in my love and completely indifferent to appearances. I can hear the praises from those around me, and I can see the fleeting anger and shame on the face of the person in front of me. Doesn't feel good, does it? Just endure it slowly. Only after the marriage certificate was processed did I start taking stock of the Shen family's assets. Surprisingly, the total assets of the Shen family actually amounted to 2 million. That's way more than I expected. Not only did Shenjing pay 1 million for this settlement, but after hearing about it, Shen Xi's father also contributed 500,000 as compensation. Combined with their family savings, this might not even be the full amount, and we haven't even counted this apartment. Not bad at all. With all the money in my hands, I didn't hesitate to replicate his path to fame. This time, I spent 800,000 to secure a better opportunity for myself, and I also used the money to actively fund his recovery. I joined the crew right after getting married, just like in my previous life. Once the show aired, I instantly gained popularity. Coupled with the release of the movie, I quickly became somewhat famous, especially when the media broke the news about my early marriage. People had initially felt sorry for me, but on the day we registered our marriage, some passers-by at the Civil Affairs Bureau voluntarily spoke up for me, even sharing photos. Public opinion suddenly turned positive, and netizens couldn't help but exclaim, "Sis is so devoted, staying by his side through thick and thin. I really admire her." But wouldn't she feel sick looking at that face? I can't even eat while looking at it. Why can't I meet such a loyal and devoted girlfriend? I'm a fan now. My reputation was getting better and better, and I became busy joining film crews. For a long time, I simply had no time for Shen Ci. Occasionally, when I returned home, I would just sit for a while and then leave, turning a blind eye to his gestures of goodwill. The look in his eyes evolved from initial gratitude to slight resentment, and then to blame, progressing layer by layer. Occasionally, when I treated him a little better, he would eagerly come closer, but as soon as I showed the slightest hint of disgust toward that face, he would leave, hurt. It must have been so painful for him, day after day, facing his own face while watching me on screen. It was like taming a dog. I control all the household expenses, so Shen Ci's mother has to grit her teeth and greet me with a smile. Life is really good these days. 10. Until one day, I received a message on my phone. "Shen Ci, Nyan Nyan, I made some soup and came to the film set to see you, but the security guard doesn't believe I'm your husband. He won't let me in. Can you come get me?" It feels so familiar. With the positions reversed, this is how it feels. I had no intention of agreeing, but Song Yang, who was acting opposite me, smiled and said, "Is he the husband you married at a young age?" I said with a helpless expression, "Yes." He's quite sensitive and keeps a close watch on me. The people around pricked up their ears. Is he still watching his senior? After the accident, he's been feeling more insecure. I always have to let him know where I am. Last time, I came home a bit late because of work, and he smashed all the plates. There was a collective sigh of sympathy all around. Brother is really inconsiderate, unlike me. I care about you the most, sister. Little green tea, quite the smooth talker, sister. After you finish filming this scene, could you explain the next one to me? Looking at his sly eyes, I nodded. Of course, work is more important. You're truly dedicated to your work, senior. After I had been working for several hours and just finished, someone suddenly burst in. Sunyan, Sunyan, come out here. Are you secretly seeing a man behind my back? It should have been you who got disfigured. So why is it me? What exactly did you do? You ruined me. Come out here. As I listened to his shouts, a sudden thought crossed my mind. It seemed like he also remembered his past life. He was holding a knife, running in and swinging it everywhere, while the security guards behind him tried to stop him but didn't dare get too close. Seeing me surrounded by a group of people, he charged straight toward me. Before he could get close, Song Yang, who was suspended on wires, kicked him flying. The knife fell to the ground, and he was quickly restrained by others. He understood all too well the importance of reputation in the entertainment industry. Perhaps recalling his inability to accept the fall from grace in his past life, he wanted to ruin me as well. He shouted loudly, "It should have been you who got disfigured. You must have done something. How could you do this to me?" With just a few words from him, the people around me cast complicated glances my way. He was taken to the police station. I delayed until midnight to bail him out. And on the way there, I knew someone was secretly filming me. 11. Early the next morning, the trending list exploded, and the video was posted online. My Weibo account has been overrun. Thinking about it carefully, isn't this just profiting from others' misfortune? At Sunyan, Can you explain why he said it should be you who gets disfigured? Wait, everyone. Sunyan's husband Shin Si is also an entertainer. Could this be premeditated, climbing the ladder by stepping on her husband? How ruthless. Everyone believed his breakdown was genuine because he was part of a vulnerable group, and he easily gained the support of the majority. The world is always like this, everyone said. He's already so miserable. How could he possibly be lying? He's already so miserable. How could he possibly be a bad person? I said nothing. Yet Shin Si suddenly started using Weibo. His face had recovered about 70%, still bearing the scars of flesh strips, and with a heavy expression. He apologized to everyone. He kept saying he had caused everyone trouble, insisting the matter had nothing to do with him. But the tears welling in his eyes made people speculate. Many netizens commented below, "If you're being forced, blink twice." People came up with one conspiracy theory after another. And even riding on the hype, he went to film a public service video for people with disabilities. He and I are basically done with each other, on the night of the bail. The first thing he said to me after getting in the car was, "Quite the skill, Sunyan, taking everything from me. It's strange. This person seems to have no morals at all. What did I take from you? I have no obligation to shield you from sulfuric acid, especially when you're worse than an animal." I didn't hold back, since I remembered, there was no need to pretend. His gaze was icy as he looked at my face and curled his lips. "Do you think this will make me lose? I could trample you underfoot in my past life, and I can do it again in this one. Oh, then get the hell out of here. You want to kick me out? Aren't you afraid?" Before he could finish, the door opened, and I kicked him out. He fell and sat on the roadside, and I gave him the middle finger from the car. Get lost. Trash. 12. My reputation is mixed, but my popularity has actually soared to new heights. With a face like that, he can't act, so how could he come back? I heard he started sending resumes to various production crews, but because his face can't even make basic expressions, there's simply no way to use him. His previous life had been too smooth, he was held too high, and now, all of a sudden, he was trapped in despair and couldn't pull himself out. He started posting long essays online, each one accusing me of giving him the cold shoulder after marriage and not being affectionate. He implied, both directly and indirectly, that I looked down on his face and married him just to use him. I didn't explain anything, and my reputation hit rock bottom. It wasn't until half a month later that he posted a photo of just me and Song Yang having a meal together, accusing me of cheating during our marriage and ignoring him completely. The hot search exploded again. My reputation instantly hit rock bottom, and I was even pelted with eggs while walking on the street. He showed up at my apartment with a smug look, watching me return in a sorry state. Only when there was no one else around did he reveal his true nature. "Sunyan, even if I can't find a job, do you think I can't ruin you? If you go home now, kneel down and beg me, and transfer all the money you've earned from acting to me, maybe I'll consider forgiving you." I threw off the vegetable leaves on my head and said to him with deep resentment, "I don't understand. What exactly are you blaming me for? I just didn't block that sulfuric acid for you. Was I obligated to take it for you?" My words seemed to hit a nerve. He grabbed my collar frantically and roared, "Why didn't you block it for me? My face is ruined, ruined. Do you know how much I'm suffering? You've destroyed my entire life. I was supposed to become famous. I was supposed to be a film emperor, and it's all because of you. Why didn't you block it for me?" He held the dagger in his hand, pressing it against my neck, trying to make me yield. I was so terrified that I broke down. "Why don't you blame your mother for being the other woman? Why don't you blame your brother for throwing acid on you? Instead, you blame me. I want to know why." He released my hand and watched as I collapsed to the ground. "Of course, I blame them too. And I won't let them off either. You all ruined my life. I won't let any of you go." He spoke, then was suddenly pinned to the ground. Police officers emerged from the room, and assistants holding live broadcasts swarmed in from behind. Shin Si stared blankly at the scene, then snapped back to reality and shouted, "It's you. You set me up. No, it's Meng Yuan. She deliberately leaked the information to lure me here." He thought that since Meng Yuan had betrayed me so easily in the previous life, she would do the same this time. But he forgot, if Meng Yuan could betray me for money, she could just as easily betray him for a higher price. In the live broadcast just now, my grievances were completely cleared, breaking into a home with a knife, threatening and intimidating. This crime, watched by millions, earned him an 8-year prison sentence. 13. The tide turned, and I publicly disclosed all the financial support I provided to the Shen family after marriage, including proof of every repair he made. He even hired paparazzi to release all his flirtatious chat records from his phone. I used the same tactics on him that he had used on me in my previous life. Netizens left numerous comments under my Weibo post. I've never seen someone so shameless. No wonder he's the son of a mistress. Sister, you're better off alone. I cursed for so long, only to find out I wronged a good person. I'm so angry. Don't be too much like Shen Ci. I just don't understand. His wife is beautiful, earns a good income, doesn't even mind his disfigurement, and spends a fortune on his recovery. What on earth is he dissatisfied with? He must be insane. Shen Ci was completely nailed to the pillar of shame. With the internet as witness, the divorce went smoothly. As for the division of property, there was no question. He was the at-fault party for attempted murder, so how could he possibly take a large share of my assets? He was completely abandoned by his father. And it was so shameful that even his mother was given up on. After the phone records were released, aside from Shen Ci being criticized, the blacklisted Wen Qing was once again dragged out and publicly shamed. Her reputation so tarnished that she would likely be pelted with rotten vegetables if she walked down the street. I suppose this is another form of fame, isn't it? In this world, there are always people who are never satisfied with what they have. Karma follows its own cycle. What one has betrayed or owed, fate will make them repay in another way, as I have, so I should have. I have a clear conscience. The end. That concludes the first story. Stay tuned. The next one is even more exciting. Mom is a strategy girl. After successfully completing her strategy, she left this world, leaving me with 4 fathers. Eldest dad is a CEO whose wealth rivals that of a nation. Second dad is a household name film emperor. Third dad has superb medical skills. And fourth dad holds a high and powerful position. My 4 dads have spoiled me for 16 years, giving me the stars instead of the moon, until 3 years ago, when YA, the daughter of their former white moonlight, returned. From that day on, the 4 fathers began to trust only her and not me. She said I cursed at her, calling her dirtier than a dog, and that I didn't deserve to live in the house, so the fathers made me eat dog food and sleep in a doghouse. She claimed I bullied her at school with my classmates, so the fathers withdrew me from school and hired 3 thugs to beat me at home for 3 months. After when YA once again said I pushed her, the dads locked me in the dog cage for 3 days and 3 nights without food to teach me a lesson. Just as I was about to starve to death, I heard my mother's voice. Nan Nan, do you want to come back to mommy? I snapped awake instantly. Then I realized it wasn't my mother speaking to me, but the system. It said that when my mother left, she left me an opportunity. If I was willing, I could go to her world. Of course, I'm willing. But the words reached my lips, only to be swallowed back. I asked the system, would going back to my mother be better than now, if she loved me? Why didn't she take me with her in the first place? The system told me that back then, Mom took on this mission because Grandma was seriously ill. She came to this world hoping to save Grandma. In her original world, she was only a sophomore in college. Saving Grandma had already used up all her savings, and her family was in debt at that time. The 4 fathers promised that no matter whose child I was, they would treat me as their own, only asking Mom to leave them a keepsake. If parents truly love their children, they must plan for their long-term future. Mom didn't want me to suffer with her, so she left me here. Nan Nan. The system's voice was gentle, as if caressing me. Your mother has been waiting for you all these years. She hasn't dated, hasn't married, bought a small house, and has been waiting for you all along. Are you willing to go find her? I nodded. The system breathed a sigh of relief and said that as long as this current body of mine dies, I can see my mother. Hearing this, I took off my clothes and tied a knot on the cage. I've seen on TV that as long as you put your head through and let your body fall with force, you'll die. Fortunately, the dog crate was big enough, and I was short enough. After I put my head through, I quickly felt a choking sensation around my neck. As my consciousness gradually faded, I became happy. I would see my mother soon. I had only been happy for a few seconds when I heard someone calling my name. The dog cage was opened, and I was rescued. After regaining my breath, I looked up and met those panicked eyes. Dad GU, this address was almost spoken subconsciously. Soon, I felt a bit of regret, because after GUE heard it, the panic in his eyes was replaced by disgust. Don't call me that, you're not worthy. GUE is my CEO dad. Among the 4 dads, he spoils me the most. Many people think he is my biological father, because our eyes are very similar. Over the years, I have lived in Dad Gu's villa. Whatever I wanted, he would buy it for me. He said that even if it were a star in the sky, as long as I wanted it, he would pluck it down for me. However, this doting came to an end 3 years ago. Dad GU brought when you're back from abroad. It was only then that I learned that besides my mom, they had another white moonlight. Back then, the white moonlight betrayed the 4 of them, got a large sum of money, and went abroad. It was mom who appeared and redeemed them, helping them gradually recover from that betrayal. Later, the white moonlight was dying abroad and called Dad GU to apologize, asking him to adopt when YA. The 4 dads said when YA was a bit younger than me and told me to get along peacefully with her. I did treat her like a younger sister, but from the very beginning, when YA wanted to take away all the affection from the dads, she would inexplicably have bruises on her body and claim that I was the one who hit her. She would suddenly fall down the stairs and say that I pushed her. As the number of times she claimed I hurt her increased, the fathers grew more and more disappointed in me, until that time when Wenyo was cornered in an alley and assaulted by a dozen thugs. After catching those few troublemakers, they all claimed that I had instructed them to do it. I have no way to defend myself. From that day on, I became the sinner in this family. The 4 fathers no longer allowed me to call them dad. I also moved from the princess room to the dog cage. All the servants call me a murderer. Being beaten, scolded, and going hungry were all common occurrences. Thinking of this, I quickly lowered my head and apologized. I'm sorry, Mr. GU, Mr. GU. Even so, Father GU still wouldn't let it go. Shinsinan, what are you trying to do? Attempt suicide, deliberately trying to get our attention. But aren't you too stupid to stage a suicide here? This place stinks so much that even if your body rots, no one would find you. So he thought I was acting. I didn't argue with him, just asked in confusion, Mr. GU, why are you here? Aren't you the one who loves cleanliness the most? Father GU frowned. This is my home. I can go wherever I want. I came here to warn you. Today is Xiao Ya's birthday. Don't cause her any trouble, at the very least. You can't die here. I obediently nodded. It turns out he saved me because he didn't want me to die in the villa and cause trouble for when YA, then I'll just die somewhere else, too. After Uncle GU left the doghouse, I also left the GU family villa. I bought a bottle of pesticide and came to the place where my mother used to live, holding my mother's photo. I lay on the bed. Just as I picked up the pesticide to drink it, I stopped. If I died like this and was discovered, I would definitely cause trouble for the police. So I wrote a suicide note to let everyone know that I had taken my own life. The taste of the pesticide was bitter, burning from the tip of my tongue down to my stomach like a raging fire. I quickly lost consciousness. Mom, I'm coming. I don't know how much time had passed when I felt my stomach acid churning. After throwing up, I woke up feeling awful, seeing a different ceiling. I jumped up in ecstasy. But before I could even utter the word Mom, I met Dad Jiang's eyes. Dad Jiang stood before me in a white lab coat, still holding my suicide note in his hand. His fingertips trembled slightly from the force he was exerting. Finally, he threw the letter in my face. Shinsinan, you really have some nerve, even learning to use death to force us to pay attention to you. If you're going to die, why not die somewhere far away? Why did you choose that place? Do you realize you've dirtied your mother's room? I was left at a loss by Father Jiang's yelling. Of the 4 fathers, my favorite is Dr. Father Jiang Zhouxing. He is a medical expert, skilled in both traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine. In daily life, he always teaches me some medical knowledge and even acupuncture. He is gentle and interesting. and spends the most time with me. I once thought he was my biological father, even when Wenyo first appeared. He didn't pay as much attention to her as the other 3 fathers did. Instead, he said to me, Nan Nan, you are Father Jiang's only daughter. No one can ever replace you, until that day when Wenyo fainted in public. Dad Jiang pulled out an acupuncture needle from the back of her head, just as he was asking Ya what had happened, when Ya suddenly knelt down in front of me. Sister, I was wrong. I didn't tell Dad Jiang about this. He found out on his own. Please, just stick me with the needle again. That was the first time I saw Dad Jiang lose his temper. With a face full of disappointment, he said to me, Shinsinan, I taught you these things so you could save people, not so you could kill. No matter what I said, he didn't believe me, because aside from him, I was the only one in the family who could insert the needle there. Third brother, calm down a bit. Only then did I notice that Father Jiyu was also in the hospital room, his expression grim. Shinsinan seems to have some mental issues. She attempted suicide once at home and then drank pesticide at Shinyi's place. I suspect. Dad Jiang interrupted him. Brother, are you having a change of heart? Have you forgotten how well she can act? She's so obsessed with wealth. How could she bear to leave the 4 of us? It's just that she knows today is Xiaoya's birthday and is putting on a show to get attention. Hearing his words, the doubt on Dad Gu's face gradually faded. You're right. Just then, both of their phones rang simultaneously. They took it out and counted it. Dad Jiyu, Dad Jiang, when are you coming home? The other 2 dads are already waiting at home. Today is my coming-of-age ceremony. If you don't come back soon, I'm going to get angry. A gentle and sweet voice sounded in the room. The 2 fathers' faces lit up with smiles at the same time. They carefully held up their phones and sent voice messages to Wenyo to comfort her. This scene felt very familiar. Once upon a time, they had comforted me in the same way. It turned out that Dad hadn't changed as a person, but his heart had changed. Amid their repeated calls of little princess, I felt disheartened and moved over to the window. I'm afraid of pain, so I was only considering gentler ways to die, but I can't wait any longer now. So I climbed over the windowsill in front of both of them and jumped down. Goodbye, 2 fathers. 3. The imagined pain never came. I was blocked by a tree outside. After I was rescued, Dad Jiang, with a pale face, came up and slapped me. Shinsinan, when will you ever stop? Dad Gu's expression wasn't much better either. His whole body was trembling, and he came up and kicked me too. Shinsinan, what exactly do you want to do? I was kicked to the ground, because I had just had my stomach pumped, and with this kick on top of that, it felt as if someone had stabbed a knife into that spot and then twisted it hard. A foul, fishy taste rose from my stomach into my mouth. After spitting out that mouthful of blood, I knelt down before the 2 of them. Mr. Jiyu, Dr. Jiang, please don't worry about me anymore. Let me die. My words left the 2 of them stunned. Dad frowned. Is this your new trick? Threatening with death? No, I said with reddened eyes. I saw Mom's system. It said that if I die, I can go to her. Please, just let me die. That way, you won't have to worry about me competing with Wenyo for your affection. And you won't have to keep me confined out of fear. After Wenyo's incident, my 4th dad, Yu Yang, who had a military background, punished me. He locked me in a dark room for 5 days and 5 nights. He shone a bright light in my eyes and wouldn't let me sleep if I showed any urge to sleep. He would inject me with adrenaline. 5 days later, the first thing I did after getting out was to beg my 4 fathers to let me leave, but they told me they wouldn't let me go. You can do this kind of thing right under our noses. If we let you leave, who knows what you might do to Xiaoya? That's right. We promised your mother we would educate you properly. You can't leave. Perhaps it was because I mentioned my mother. The expressions on their faces were no longer as unpleasant as before, and there even seemed to be a touch of the gentleness I was familiar with. Shinsinan, are you sure you saw your mother's system? When Dad Jiyu helped me up and asked me this question, I told him honestly that it had appeared this morning, just when I was about to starve to death. The 2 of them exchanged a glance. Dad Jiang said to me, Shinsinan, you might not know this, but when your mother left, she mentioned that her system would disappear after the mission was completed, so, you might be experiencing hallucinations. I shook my head. No, that's not it. It really is my mother's system, Dr. Jiang. Please don't worry about me anymore. Just let me die. The word die made Dad Jiang's face turn even more grim. He struggled to hold back but couldn't help saying, whether this is a hallucination or not isn't for you to decide. We will send you to see a psychologist. After saying that, he patted my head just like before. His expression was quite strange. Actually, for 3 years, we've discussed it. As long as you promise not to appear in front of Xiao Ya again, we won't punish you any further. Before he could finish his sentence, second dad and fourth dad appeared before us. Big brother, third brother, have you seen Yaya? Dad Jiyu and Dad Jiang were stunned. Wasn't Yaya just with you a moment ago? Second dad Qin Xiao was frantic. She answered a phone call and then disappeared. She said a classmate wanted to give her a gift, so she went out to get it. Could it be? The faces of the 4 fathers all turned grim at the same time. They remembered that 3 years ago, on Wenyo's birthday, a classmate had called and asked her to go out, then she was assaulted by a few thugs. They all looked at me simultaneously, meeting their gaze. I trembled in fear. Without a word, I understood. No, it's not me. How could it not be you? Father Jiyu roared in fury, grabbing my collar like a madman. Shenxinan, no wonder you kept saying you wanted to die today. It was to get our attention. Where have you taken Xiaoya? I shook my head. No. I really didn't. However, how would the angry Father Jiyu listen to me? Shenxinan, you actually show no remorse. You want to die, right? Fine, I'll grant your wish today. He raised his fist and was about to hit me. At the critical moment, fourth father stepped forward and grabbed his arm, reminding him, brother, not here. There are so many people watching. Dad stopped and glared at me, saying in a low voice, take her home. The atmosphere in the car was heavy. Several dads were on the phone looking for Wenyo. I hid in the corner, trembling. I know, a storm is coming. Until the car stopped, they pulled me out of it. Seeing the house in front of me, I immediately lost control. It was the place where I had once stayed. Physiological fear made me kneel down. I really don't know where Wenyo went. Please let me go. Father Jiang grabbed my head, his voice icy. Didn't you want to die? After being father and daughter for so many years, we'll send you off. My whole body was trembling. I did want to die. I'm afraid of pain. But since I'm already here, how could they let me go? They dragged me into the house. There were already over a dozen strong men standing inside. Fourth dad threw me to the ground, furrowing his brows tightly, and instructed with the frustration of seeing someone fail to meet expectations. Teach her to behave properly. Countless hands reached out. I felt someone grab my limbs, and someone else driving nails into my flesh. My entire body was in pain. I was desperately calling for help, just as I kept shouting Dad several times. Seeing that those men were about to get serious, Jiang Juhang couldn't bear it and called for a stop. He stepped forward and said to me, Shenxinan, as long as you tell us where you've taken Yaya, we can let you off the hook out of respect for your mother. I cried and said, I don't know, I really don't know, I didn't do this. Jiang Zhouxing still wanted to say something. Father Yu stepped forward and grabbed him. Third brother, don't you know what kind of person she is? If we don't get serious, she won't admit it. All these years, has she ever admitted to bullying Yaya? A strange light flickered in Jiang Zhouxing's eyes. Finally, he waved his hand and said, go ahead. With those words, there was no chance for me to survive. As the pain in my body intensified, I stopped crying out. In a daze, I seemed to see my mother's face. Go ahead, you guys go ahead, I'm really going to see Mom. The 4 dads are still constantly on the phone. Finally, a familiar number called Jiyu Dad's phone. Xiao Ya, where are you? When Ya's voice sounded in the room, Jiyu Dad, I'm out having a meal with my classmates. Why have you called me so many times? The 4 of them were all stunned in unison. Weren't you kidnapped? Wenyo laughed. What are you talking about? How could I be kidnapped? I won't say more now. I'm heading home. At the same time, the butler's call also came through, saying that Wenyo had been picked up. They breathed a sigh of relief. Great. Xiao Ya is okay, Dad Jiang exclaimed. Then suddenly his eyes widened. Shenxinan. They finally remembered my existence. At that time, Dad told the people in the room to stop. They walked towards me. calling my name a few times without getting a response. Shinsinan. Stop pretending. We found him. This time, even if we wronged you. Father Gu crouched down, touched me, and still got no response. Then he realized that I had long stopped crying out in pain. His heart sank as he reached his hand under my nose. Unfortunately, I had already stopped breathing, for, just when I thought I was about to see my mother, the system appeared again, saying there was a bit of a problem with the program and that we might have to wait a while before going over. I nodded. My mom and I have been apart for so many years, a few more days won't matter. So, in the form of a soul, I observed the reactions of these 4 people. After realizing I had stopped breathing, Jiu Yi's legs gave way, and he instantly collapsed to the ground. He pushed me, his voice trembling. Shinsinan. Stop pretending. Wake up. His unusual behavior caught the attention of the other 3 fathers. As a doctor, Jiang Zhouxing rushed forward first, pressing 2 fingers against my carotid artery to check. In an instant, his face turned ashen. Call 120 quickly. Then, ignoring the stunned reactions of others, he tore open my clothes and immediately began performing CPR. Yu Yang was also dumbfounded. How could this happen? She must be faking it. Now only second uncle still has a trace of reason left. With a grim expression, he picked up his phone and dialed the emergency number. Soon, an ambulance came wailing. By the time I arrived at the hospital, several highly respected doctors had already been directly summoned. However, after everyone had been busy for a full 3 hours, my heartbeat on the screen remained a flat line. Everyone gave up. Only Jiang Zhouxing continued pressing on my chest. Shinsinan. I won't allow you to die. You haven't atoned enough for your sins. How dare you? Believe it or not, I'll lock you in the dog cage again. His voice was filled with despair. No one around dared to step forward and intervene, until the dean could no longer stand it and came up to hold his arm. Dr. Jiang, stop. Don't bother me. Jiang Zhouxing pushed the person away forcefully. If you won't save her, I will. She definitely won't die. She didn't die the previous times. And she won't die this time either. He continued pressing on my chest like a madman. Jiang Zhouxing. The dean couldn't take it anymore. Just let her go. It's already been 3 hours. You've broken her ribs. Even if she were still alive, she couldn't endure this kind of pain. Jiang Zhouxing finally let go. He looked at my corpse. My face was pale, my lips purple, and my body was covered in wounds large and small, with blood soaking through my clothes, and my chest was completely sunken in. Jiang Zhouxing suddenly realized that it had been a very, very long time since he had looked at me like this. The little girl from his childhood, fragrant and soft, round and chubby, whom he used to hold in his arms. At some point, she had become as thin as a bamboo pole from malnutrition. Sorrow overflowed from the depths of his heart. His body went limp, and he buried his head in his hands, weeping bitterly. The doctor present didn't know how to persuade him, so he just patted his shoulder and left. Everyone in the resuscitation room started walking out. A few minutes later, the door was pushed open again. The other 3 fathers rushed in anxiously. The first to speak was second uncle, third brother. How is Shinsinan doing? Jiang Zhouxing remained silent, but the 3 of them also saw that I on the platform had already been covered with a white cloth. What this represented was self-evident. Jiu Yi stepped forward, grabbed the white cloth, and just as he was about to lift it, he took 2 steps back, turned around, and punched Yu Yang in the face. It's all your fault. You were the one who arranged for those people to mess with her. She died because of you. Jiu Yi was hysterical. Yu Yang was even more distraught. Is it my fault? Weren't you the one who suggested sending her off first? The 2 quickly started wrestling with each other. The onlookers all knew that they weren't fighting to hurt each other. It was all to vent their anger. In the end, the 2 were pulled apart, and second uncle Shu Ting scolded. That's enough from both of you. If we're talking about who's at fault, all 4 of us are to blame. But the biggest mistake still lies with Shinsinan. Right, if she hadn't done that back then, how could we have misunderstood her today? Jiang Zhouxing showed a pained expression but still chimed in. Second brother is right. All of this is Shinsinan's own fault. Maybe she died just to see this scene. Don't be fooled by her. Today is Yaya's 18th birthday, and we still need to celebrate her coming-of-age ceremony. Mentioning when The group calmed down. Perhaps because she had been waiting for the four of them to return home without success. When YA called Jiu Yi at that moment, Jiu Yi answered the call, and crying could be heard from the other end. Dad Jiu, I was beaten by Shinsinan again. 5. The scene fell into silence, leaving only when YA's sobbing. Jiu Yi finally spoke after a long while. Who beat you? When YA said, Shinsinan, Jiu Yi asked again. When? Just half an hour ago, when YA found him very strange today. Uncle Jiu. Do you know where the other 3 dads are? Can you come back quickly? I'm so scared. Amid her crying, Jiu Yi rubbed his temples and said, when YA, Shinsinan is dead. There was instant silence on the other end. His voice was icy cold. She was still in critical condition half an hour ago. How could she have hit you? There was silence on the other end of the phone. 5 hours later, the 4 fathers returned home. When you stood in the living room and watched them run over, her eyes were red. Clearly she had been crying. Uncle Jiu, what's going on? Is Shinsinan really dead? Jiu Yi was in a bad mood and ignored her. When YA's expression grew even more aggrieved, she turned to Jiang Zhouxing to act coquettishly. Uncle Jiang, were you together just now? Did you all hear it then? When you started crying again. Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie, I was just scared. You didn't come back for so long, and I was afraid you didn't want me anymore. Every time when you cried, her dads would soften. This time was no exception. She had suffered too much abroad. It was said that when Dad Jiu found her, she was sitting in a trash can, eating garbage. In Dad's heart, she lacks a sense of security and is much more pitiful than me, who has enjoyed 16 years of good fortune. So after Wenyo repeatedly apologized, all the dads let out a sigh of relief and comforted her, telling her not to cry. Dad Gu's mood was still low, but he also spoke up. It's not your fault. Shinsinan left you with psychological trauma, and so the matter was considered settled. After discussing among themselves, the fathers still decided to hold a funeral for me. After all, they raised me themselves, so they still have some feelings for me. Moreover, my mother really helped them a lot. Very few people attended the funeral. Because I have been locked in a dog cage all these years, I haven't been able to go to school and have lost contact with my previous friends. I calmly watched my own funeral. The system's voice sounded, Nan, it's time to go. My heart thumped a few times. Finally, I'm going to see my mother. Just as I was about to leave with the system, it spoke again. Wait, I don't want to let Wenyo off so easily. Hold on a moment. Just as I was feeling confused, a tall man appeared before me. I widened my eyes in disbelief. Only then did I realize that the system also had a human form. Before I could even open my mouth to ask, the system headed in the direction of the 4 dads. I don't know what he said, but the 4 dads froze for a moment, then followed him. I followed along as well. They left the cemetery and headed straight for the villa, finally stopping in front of YA's room, while the 4 fathers looked at each other. Ambiguous sounds of water came from inside. Honey, don't leave marks on me. Those 4 will notice. It was when YA, I was wondering why you were so bold today, letting me come here. So it turns out that little bitch is dead. Another male voice sent a shiver through everyone's body. Once you've heard it, you won't forget it. This person was exactly the thug who assaulted Wenyo 3 years ago. After he identified me, the 4 fathers wanted to send him to prison. In the end, Wenyo stopped them. She said she didn't want to make a big deal out of it and didn't want to lose her reputation. What exactly happened? Soon, all doubts were cleared up. The man gasped for breath. It's just as well that she's dead, so you don't have to worry anymore. Otherwise, you'd have to act every day to deceive your 4 fathers. Speaking of which, those 4 are real fools. Back then, just with our words, they believed that little bitch was the one who ordered me. They didn't even notice that the little bitch trembled in fear at the sight of me. How could she dare to order me around? Wenyo smiled. My mother also said that these 4 are easy to fool. If she hadn't faked her death back then and arranged for someone to act out a scene and call Jiu Yi, we'd still be wandering abroad now. The laughter inside continued without pause. The 4 people outside seemed as if frozen by something. After about 3 minutes, Yu Yang was the first to move. Kicking the door open and striding inside, The other 3 then followed in one by one, screams, shouts, and cries intertwined. The system looked up and asked me, feeling good. I nodded. Did you do it on purpose? Damn it, I've long been fed up with these 4 people. They hurt your mother back then, and now they're hurting you. The system cursed, a bunch of idiots. Do you want to go in and take a look? When YA will probably be torn apart. I shook my head, tugged at his sleeve, and said, take me away, I want to see my mom. The system thought for a moment and said, okay. He casually pointed, and a black hole appeared in front of us. I walked straight into it. Just as I was about to disappear, I heard someone calling my name, Shansinan, Nan. It's the voices of the fathers. This time, I won't look back. 6. Passing through the black hole, I arrived in a cozy room. The air was filled with the fragrance of flowers. I called out to the system a few times but got no response. Just as I was about to go out and take a look, the bedroom door opened and a beautiful woman walked out. The moment she saw me, she froze. I recognized her at the same time. My mother, Shenyi. She is as beautiful as the person in the photo. Just when I was at a loss, my mother cried. She ran over and hugged me. Is it Nan? Is it my Nan? In an instant, tears streamed down my face. That day, my mother told me about what happened back then. It was exactly as the system had told me. She took on the mission for my seriously ill grandmother, and she came back because of her. She had been waiting for me all along. Mom thought, even if you didn't want to come back, I would always keep a room for you. Hearing this, my nose tingled with emotion, and I asked her, where's Grandma? Grandma is in the countryside. I'll take you to see her when we have time. Grandma recovered very well. After she fully recovered from her illness, she returned to the countryside. After that, Mom worked hard in this city all by herself. When she learned that I hadn't attended school since I was 16, she pulled some strings and got me enrolled in a regular high school. Although they are 2 different worlds, the knowledge taught in high school is exactly the same. I go to school every day, and when I come home, my mom has prepared a meal. In the evenings, she finds various topics to chat with me about. The distance between us gradually closes, and the gap of more than 10 years is slowly being filled. Just when I thought these days would continue like this forever, the system came to me again in human form. That's when I realized the system was actually a person from this world. He was an employee at a metaverse company, and all 4 of his fathers were characters from books. He said the worlds where his forefathers lived were about to collapse and asked if I was willing to go back and see them. I said in surprise. The system nodded. He told me that after learning the truth from 3 years ago, the forefathers had gone mad. First, they locked up Wenyo and that little thug. How I died is exactly how when YA died. However, the difference is that when YA didn't die so quickly. As soon as there was the slightest sign of her dying, Jiang Juhang would revive her with the best medicine, and before she could recover, he would continue the torment. The system's voice was flat, but I still detected a hint of schadenfreude. I only realized how ruthless the forefathers' methods were after experiencing them myself. Death is not scary. A life worse than death is what's truly terrifying. After Wenyo's death, the forefathers began to challenge the authority of that world, turning the entire world upside down. Their unusual behavior alerted the main system, and the main system came looking for the system. The system then appeared before the 4 of them. The forefathers told it that they wanted to see me, and if I didn't appear, the entire world would collapse. After saying this, I thought the system would persuade me to go see them. Who would have thought? He said, Nan, if you don't want to go, then don't, just let that world collapse. Those 4 bastards deserve it. I was a bit surprised, but I still told him that I was willing to meet them. But he shouldn't tell Mom about it. I've just returned to Mom's side, and if she finds out I went to see them, she might overthink it. But as soon as the words left my mouth, the door was pushed open abruptly. Mom's eyes welled up with tears. Nan, I'll go with you. I handed you over to those 4 beasts, not so they could mistreat you because of another child. The secret I had kept for so long was finally discovered by Mom. But before going to see my dad's, Mom told me she had long suspected that I wasn't doing well there, because when I slept at night, I would curl up into a ball, and even in my dreams I would say, Dads, I was wrong, I won't dare anymore. She was just afraid of bringing up my painful memories, so she never mentioned it. Under the system's arrangement, we quickly met with the forefathers. Before I even pushed open the villa's door, I could smell the scent of smoke and alcohol in the air. The forefathers sat on the sofa, all with expressions of grief on their faces. When the door was opened, all four of them looked over. Nan nan, nan nan, nan nan, nan nan. Several people stood up together and ran towards me, but just as they were about to touch me, another figure stepped in front of them. After seeing the person in front clearly, the forefathers were even more ecstatic. Shenyi, you're back too. 7. For a moment, the forefathers were like monkeys in a zoo, dancing with joy, especially Jiu Yi, who was so excited he was almost in tears. Shenyi, you're here too. That's great. I never thought I'd get to see you again in this lifetime. That's wonderful. Jiang Zhouxing strode forward, wanting to hug both me and my mom. Both of you have actually switched back. Since you're back, don't leave anymore. We've missed you so much. But just as his hand reached out, my mom didn't hesitate to slap him. Jiang Zhouxing, how have you been taking care of my child? The scene suddenly fell silent. Jiu Yi also stepped forward. Shenyi, listen to us. His words were also left unfinished. Mother landed another slap. Then the remaining two dads were added. Not a single one missed. I looked at this scene in astonishment. There was only one thought in my mind. So satisfying. My mom is so cool. After 4 slaps, each of the forefathers had neat handprints on their faces, yet they showed no anger at all. In fact, they seemed somewhat nostalgic. Yu Yang even offered his other cheek and said, Shenyi, this side should be slapped too. My mother naturally obliged them. After the fight, the atmosphere suddenly became very strange, for grown men surrounded my mother, apologizing. Shenyi, you have every right to be angry. We were wrong about Nanan's situation. We shouldn't have brought Wenyo back, but we never expected Wenyo to be that kind of person. We've already dealt with Wenyo, and from now on, no one will ever bully Nan Nan again. Come back with Nan Nan. We miss you so much. They spoke one after another, promising Mom that they would deal with everyone in this world who had bullied me, one by one. Really, Mom glanced at their faces. If you've dealt with all of them, then why are the 4 of you still here? The forefathers were instantly speechless. Mother sneered, wasn't it you who kept bullying my daughter? Wasn't it you who locked her in a dog cage? Wasn't it you 4 who hired people to hurt her? Wasn't it you who drove her to her death just because of that person's daughter? The 4 of them instantly turned pale. Jiu Yang's lips moved as he said, Shenyi, we were also deceived by Wen Ya. At first, we genuinely treated Nan Nan as our own daughter. I believe that statement. Since I was young, everyone has envied me for having 4 powerful fathers. They doted on me to the core, fulfilling every desire I had. But later, they truly came to hate me. Jiang Zhouxing suddenly shifted his gaze to me and started walking in my direction. I was so frightened that I took a step back. Jiang Zhouxing let out a bitter laugh. Nan Nan, you're afraid of me. I'm sorry, Nan Nan. Dad Jiang broke his promise. Dad Jiang said he would protect you and let you be a little princess. But in the end, he suddenly started crying, stepped forward, grabbed my hand, and slapped it hard against his own face. Hit me, Dad, actually. I've always been grateful to have you. They say we raised you, but really, it was you who kept us company. 8. His words touched the other 3 fathers. They all turned to apologize to me, telling me about the past, proving that they love me. Dad Jiu told me, actually, many of those words weren't said by us. Making you live in a dog cage and not letting you eat properly on a daily basis were all instructed by Wen Ya. We only intended to teach you a lesson and never meant to abuse you. After being surrounded by them, I was so frightened that I took several steps back. In the end, Mom steadied me and asked, Nan Nan, what do you think? Are you willing to forgive them? I looked at the 4 dads in front of me, full of anticipation, and finally shook my head. No, I will never forgive them. In just a short sentence, the 4 fathers turned pale. Just as they were about to say something more, Mother suddenly had a gun in her hand. Her tone was icy cold. Well then, it's simple. Let's just kill them all. My heart skipped a beat at the sight of that gun. Before I could even react, Mom had already taken down all 4 of them in one swift move. The 4 dads also seemed taken aback by how resolute Mom was. Before they died, each of their faces was filled with disbelief. I stared at Mom in astonishment. She smiled at me. "Don't be afraid, they deserved to die." "No, where did the gun come from?" Mom touched her nose. "Before raiding them, I took on another mission, which was to fight zombies." No wonder. The 4 male leads died, and the entire world began to collapse. My mother and I returned to our original world. My mother decided to take me to visit my grandmother. As soon as we stepped out, we ran into the system, which had been waiting for a long time. He clung to us like a sticky plaster, saying that the male leads were dead, the world had collapsed, he had been fired by the main system, and now he had nowhere to go, begging us, mother and daughter, to take him in. Mom was unwilling and told him to get lost. The system pitifully said, "How can you just discard someone after using them? Didn't you say you were willing back then?" As if afraid I might hear something I shouldn't, Mom covered his mouth. She twisted his ear and walked aside to whisper, and I had long noticed the ambiguous relationship between the 2 of them. In the end, Mom let the system come along with us on the journey. After arriving at the destination, the system volunteered to carry the gifts. I finally asked Mom the question that had been lingering in my heart. "Mom, who is my real father after all?" Mom whispered a name in my ear. I widened my eyes in disbelief. How could it be him? End. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.